Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Well, it's a track that's been on iRacing for only a very short number of weeks. So short, in fact, that hasn't even hit double digits in number of weeks that it's been on the service for. It's brand spanking new, and well, when we've got a brand spanking new car, nearly seems like the perfect combination. Scotty Rankin tonight to bring you all of the action for the Formula 3, a 2024 action off alongside of Dave Roberts once again. Dave, I mean, we've got the opportunity right throughout the season to bang on about how much we both love this car. Tonight, though, we get an opportunity to bang on about how much we love a brand new track. And this track has had the opportunity for drivers to test it both in the dry and the wet since it's come on iRacing, which is, well, I mean, it's just tick, 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 every single box.
Yeah, it's a great little circuit. It always confuses me, though, Scott, because I always remember watching the MotoGP here with Wayne Rainey and Kevin Schwantz, and it ran in the other direction. So every time I go out of the pits, I go the wrong way. They reversed the direction for safety because turn one, they couldn't make enough runoff for turn one. So they turned it around the other way, where turn one became the last corner and they could put a big runoff into it. You can see that they've put a big chicane there. We're at the bottom where we're seeing, it says Riviera something or other, mini or something or other. The Variante del Parco. See, they made a big runoff there. So they changed the whole direction of the track. I still reckon it works better the other way. And I did go out and try it the other way just in testing. I went, I'm going to lap it the way it should be lapped or the way it was built. But yeah, great circuit. Seen some spectacular racing here. I think this was, I may be wrong, I think this is where Wayne Rainey had his bad accident that put him in a wheelchair. So anyway, hopefully nobody does that tonight.
I was just hoping that you put the car into R for race mode. What? No.
No, missed me on that one.
Not reverse, R for race mode?
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, no, gotcha. I'm thinking R for race mode. God, my car's actually got an R for race mode. I'm going, huh?
Yeah, so the rundown at number one. Look, it's brilliant. It makes great. I've actually... this is going to sound very, very bad from a sim racing perspective, but I actually enjoy really riding around this circuit in the MotoGP games because I've had a couple cracks at that, and yeah, it's actually quite good. So yeah, look, in terms of things though tonight, it's going to challenge drivers' abilities to both open the corners up. Again, lots of opportunities for the corners to double back, and I think the key thing is when we go to MotoGP style tracks, like you said, there's a lot of runoff. It tends to be, but also the tracks are just a touch wider. The thing is, for MotoGP, they don't actually have to be all that much wider. MotoGP bikes are quite a bit narrower, but they tend to be wider, and it tends to create great racing, which is, you know, why MotoGP is so revered around the world.
I did notice in practice here, watching the boys in practice, they were dicing and there were lead changes every corner because they could. So I'm hoping this is going to give us some fantastic racing tonight.
Yeah, and like you said, that last corner as well, good run out of that can set up your day. That last sector really, really reminds me, by the way, of the Shanghai circuit. It's pretty much the rundown at turn 14 feels like the hairpin at Shanghai. Yeah, the kink at 15 is just a little bit more turning that's going on, but other than that, it's very, very similar to the final corner. Yeah, I saw exactly what you just saw. I think it was Chris Barnes getting into Lam Nguyen. Yeah, you know, some new drivers in the field as well. The fixed setup here, reminder for you who might be new to the series, ladies and gents, the race 13 minutes in length, fixed setup, but it's all about getting yourself into a car that's like we said at the top of the show, is a little bit new to the service, still races like an open wheeler, but an open wheelie that's got enough power, enough wing on it, enough of everything to really go racing, and that's the key. Enough grip, but not too much grip, because if it had too much, that it'd really take away from the racing action. The championship standings as it currently stands, Curtis Webb has led the way. Declan Webb has been quick, but not necessarily quite as consistent as his brother. Christopher Ireland sits there in second place, and he'll be looking to see if he can seize upon another opportunity. There's lots of runoff area tonight. Safety cover chance might be minimal. Harry Lawrence and Jack Humphreys, again, same sort of style of season. There's been flashes of brilliance in terms of the strategy, but when that hasn't led the way, it's been dominated by the two Webbs. What will we see here tonight? Qualifying has finished. We've got about 10 seconds left in the warm-up phase, so we'll be getting into our gridding. We'll have to fire through that nice and quickly, because, ladies and gents, it's about tipping over each other.
Because the pit exit is actually part of sort of the fast line, is the wide one through there. You got to be careful there's not somebody coming out of the pits. So we'll watch. There's something we can watch for too, Scott.
Yeah, the front row, and we've seen this a number of times this season. It's nearly like they're stuck there, almost as if they've been swinging into position and catching criminals in web, if you will. Curtis Webb lines up in front of Declan Webb on the front row to start us off once again. And who is going to win here tonight? That is the big question. Jordan Mazzaroli was quite close to Declan Webb in terms of qualifying pace, but Harry Lawrence was only 9,000ths of a second further back. Can he look to challenge? Stephen Bull and Christopher Ireland make up row number 3. Guess what? Another 9,000th and then 8,000ths back to 5th and 6th place. That's how tight it is between these sort of not quite front row guys, the guys that are just on those next couple of rows. Then we throw it back to Matt Morris and Ocean Coliangelo. Chase Saskild and Chris Mitchell will round out row number 5 and our top 10. From there, we throw it back to Leith Hardy and James, SimSpeed Princess. I believe he's best known as Chastanoff, or we just might call him Chasty. Damien Cairns will be out of P13 and row number 7 in behind him. Robbie Griffiths will line up alongside of him. From there, it's Alex Stevens and Jason Jepp, the better looking version of Johnny Depp. If he'll accept that one, I don't think that'll come. Callum Newton and Charlie Milliken will be a little bit further down. Poor qualifying outlet for Callum Newton. He's been quite quick over the last couple of weeks, so maybe some lack of adapting to the track. Dennis Hawkins and Chris Barnes. And finally, the last driver to take a qualifying lap will be Callan Arthur. Ryan Jones did manage to get into the session, but did not set a qualifying lap, so he will line up alongside of our safety car on the rear row of the field. And I've been informed it's SimSpeed's darling, not SimSpeed's princess, is Chastity's name.
Well, I just hope you don't go writing a joke book, because nobody's going to buy it, Scott.
I'm here to entertain myself with those jokes, okay? My wife cringes at them as well, so join the club.
Excellent.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we'll just be a few moments away here from the start here at Misano. The first of 2 races tonight. The silver guys will go at it. Then we'll get the opportunity for the pro guys to let loose. Declan Webb, Curtis Webb. Who's going to get the run down at turn number 1? Who is going to open it up? And who is going to get the launch? As they fire off the grid, I think there was a slightly better timing at the start from Declan Webb, but it's Mazzaroli who actually got a slightly better start behind both of them. Pulls up alongside, and Declan Webb bails out of that one nice and early. Now everyone's going to try and feed through, and I think Declan Webb's gone up the inside, got some ground around the outside, still on the inside there. Harry Lawrence has had a really good getaway, sneaks away into 3rd position, and the 2 Webbs are still side by side as they run down here. Finally, Declan Webb takes the lead, but they nearly trip over each other, and that might have led to a brawl in the family household.
It's a great circuit. This, as we've said, straight away, we can see they're running multiple widths, 2 and 3 cars wide through these corners, because they can. There's room on the outside of the curve. There's a dive down the outside, but we're going to see that all the way through this race being that's Mazzaroli off in the background. That didn't last very long, did it?
Yeah, I wonder whether or not he might have got out there alone, or he might have had some assistance.
Chris Island with him.
Yeah, so that sort of says there might have been some assistance in that one, and they've both gone tumbling throughout the field. And remember, Chris Island sits second in the championship. His compatriot at the top of the table out in the front of things. Right now, Harry Lawrence is in a great getaway, and Matt Morris, all the way up to P4, is actually going to have a crack here. I believe it's actually Stephen Bull who's having a crack around the outside of him as it currently stands. Everything's still locked in. It's his next battle. Chris Mitchell trying to show the nose down the inside. Has managed to get up and alongside of Bull. Gets better drive off of turn 14 and the hairpin in the tail end of the lap, and he'll be on the outside when they come to the final corner. Finally manages to settle it on down. Stephen Bull grabs the spot, uses a whole bunch of runoff area, a whole bunch of the curb. But ladies and gents, welcome to a lap at Misano.
It is pretty hectic, pretty frantic, and pretty frightening out there. But we're seeing that dive down the inside in every corner. See it here again, 2, 3 abreast. This will be a replay of that incident. So we see Chris Island on the inside, Mazzaroli outside, and that's just an unfortunate racing incident in my book.
Yeah, I would say Island's just running out of space. It could theoretically be he's been squeezed a fraction on the exit, but there's going to be a little bit either way. And that angle, of course, not telling the story. And Callan Arthur's ended up out in the weeds.
Who's that off the road there?
That's
another one round.
Was that Island? It was Chris Island, and then he's collected someone else. Actually,
is it Ryan Jones? There's too many Simrig cars. Can we make that comment? How do you tell them apart?
Well, Ryan is actually ahead of Chris Island at this point in time. And first request for tow of the night. I'm not seeing any damage on either of those cars. He is way out off in the sandpit. They may let him go. Yep.
Yep. So no safety car. I've just pushed him behind the barriers, I think.
So it's going to stay green at this point in time. And now the opportunity for Harry Lawrence to start closing in on the leaders as Chris Mitchell gets a freebie from Stephen Bull's F3 Dallara chassis stepping sideways.
It does take 2 or 3 laps to really get the tyres hot in these cars, and if you push them before then, they will let go on you, just like you saw that happen then. So you've really got to bite your lip, take your time, get the thing into, get the tyres hot and get full grip before you can really throw it out. He's used a bit too much curb on the inside there, unsettled the car over the bump of the curb. So luckily he hasn't hit anything yet, and he'll be back, and there's always a chance. That's a nice little overtake. Is that Ocean Colangelo there? Down the inside, sliding down the inside of... Is that Chastity? Yeah, look at that. I'm picking them off. So that's... Ryan Jones. It's a Simrig car. Another one.
They keep showing up on screen at this rate. It's going to be an interesting night. So for Ryan, unfortunately, now tumbles through the standings, and I think his night is done. This battle between Oceano Colangelo and Chastity. Well, Chastanov's going to grab the spot for now, but the opportunity for a switchback may be presenting itself, and in behind. We're going to get a shot as they cut through. Jason Depp starting to hold off a couple of drivers. It'll be Damien Cairns and Alex Stevens who have a go at each other. Managed to get it out of the last corner. And Robbie Griffiths, I think, is lining up for a crack at them both.
Somebody entering the pit lane there, Callum Newton into the pit lane. So probably a little early for fuel.
Remember, Newton had that tow as well. So was that him actually maybe leaving his box and getting back out onto the racing track?
No, he was coming in. He was coming in. Yeah.
So Robbie Griffiths nearly ended up impaled in the rear bumper of Alex Stevens. Remember that, that tail light?
You do get impaled. You could get impaled with that tail light, or it's the rear crash structure actually. This sort of if they go into a fence backwards, that whole long tail actually becomes a crushable structure that takes the energy out of any accident. Because that's where you can do a lot of damage if you're going backwards, because all the force is taken on your back.
And I believe it's designed so it's up off the deck just a fraction, so you can actually get a front wing underneath it as well.
Yep.
So
if you go backwards into a fence, it doesn't slide underneath the fence. It actually hits further up in the fence.
Yeah, modern design in a car, bits and pieces, not necessarily huge on that. In the meantime, there is actually a change up front, and it's going to be the two brothers swapping positions. Declan Webb now leads the way from Curtis Webb. Curtis has led up until now, and this was down at the end of the back straight.
And Harry Lawrence is sitting there. He's just in their shadows. He's not very far away. And if they hold each other up a little bit, look at this, Harry's right back onto them. So, yeah, they only need to hold each other up a little bit, and Harry will be in this race, and he'll be looking to upset them and split them up.
I think one of the key factors to Harry Lawrence this season has probably been a big one is his weakness is qualifying. He's found a way to get involved in something very, very early on, and he's spent the bulk of the season doing recovery drives. Now, they've been really, really good recovery drives, but this might just be the first time in the season he's actually got an opportunity to just get out of the gates nice and early and actually have a run up front and have a crack at these guys. And if they keep squabbling like this, he's catching a double draft as it currently stands. There's enough straight track around here for it to work in his favour.
I also want to say, you were talking earlier about the fixed setup. I want to talk about the fixed setup a little bit, because I actually do the setup on these cars. And what I try and do is make them so that they point and turn, but they're pretty stable. And it doesn't really have to be low aero, like you do in a lot of the officials. You've really got to run low aero and things to be competitive. You don't here, because you know everyone's going to have the same car, so you can run that little bit of extra wing on the setup to make the car more stable, a little bit easier to drive, because this is the entry level of Formula 3 series. We'll see after this comes the Pro Series, which is an open setup. So this setup is designed to give the newcomers a really good opportunity to drive a car that's quick, but maybe not quite as edgy as most of them out there, and as they are in officials.
Alex Stevens right now is getting a little bit swamped because he's punching the hole in the air. And, now he is going to get tagged. But I think it might have been... I don't think it was Leith Hardy, actually. His right rear tyre is actually up and off the ground.
I don't think that was really...
Robbie Griffiths? Robbie Griffiths.
Oh, that's the guy way off the road.
Punched him.
Yeah, I can't tell from being inside the gearbox what happened. But,
just missed the apex at turn 2.
And he's hit the brakes and somebody else has clipped him. That wasn't as bad from outside as it was from sitting inside the gearbox, was it?
No, and I think there might be damage to that left front corner now of Robbie Griffiths, which means he's going to be slow in a straight line, and Stephen Bull's now crawling all over him. Robbie will pinch a brake as they get down in here. And now this is the run off onto the long back straight. There's 2 kinks in this back straight. Then there's a slight braking zone and then a harder braking zone. And now here comes Stephen Bull, who's going to take that opportunity. The next car up behind is going to actually be Chris Island, who's already crawled his way all the way back up to 12th spot, is in this battle pack that they're all squabbling through at the moment. Damien Kansas lost spots as a result of all this. And Griffiths will cede the one to Stephen Bull and then runs very, very wide as well. And in the meantime, Oceano Coliangelo and James Chastanoff are setting sail a little bit because
they continue.
They're fighting a little bit, but I think Chastity's just being really kind and saying, "Hey, we're about the same pace. If we fight, we go nowhere. If we stretch this a little bit, there's a chance," which I think is working in their favour.
They'll tow each other down the back straight and not interfere at the end. And if they do that, they'll be probably the quickest 2 cars on the track. So.
And Chastity just gets out of the way a little bit, recognises he's down there, not going to fight it too hard, and that's just 2 smart drivers working together. Yeah, he's not going to pull away from him, and that's the key. If he's going to pull away from you, yeah, you fight it a little bit harder, but because you're about the same pace, you're about the same area of the track. In the meantime, though, Chris Island has punched through and got ahead now of Robbie Griffiths. The next car on track for him is Stephen Bull, and since Bull's cleared Griffiths, he's starting to set sail a little bit, so Island's going to go in pursuit now. Try and stay with him, at the same time keep the momentum up, and well, if you miss an apex, that's going to cost you a fair bit of momentum, as you can see right there. Yep.
And Stephen Bull certainly got some pace in the pre-qualifying. He was super quick. I think he was only slower than the Webb brothers. So Stephen Bull's certainly going to have some pace out there, and I think that was very close.
It's a good thing that crash structure at the rear's raised. My word, there could have been another one.
I think they know it though, don't they? Here's Leith Hardy into the pits. Now that's a good call for a pit strategy. He's gone in early for fuel. Now it's the reverse Lando, because now if the safety car comes out, he should gain a load. because
Well,
he'll have track position. So
he needs to have probably about 1 or 2 laps, I think, to sort of bust free of that pack. At the moment, Chris Island's pulling them along. So, yeah, well, it would have been good probably a lap ago. Right now, it's probably not the best call because if Island pulls them along and up towards Stephen Bull just a little bit, but Bull is setting some good lap times. Mazzaroli's now tagged onto the rear end of this pack as well. So he'll get an opportunity to see if he can cut his way through.
it's an incredibly long pit lane too here, Scott. The exit for the pit lane, it's like a 5-minute drive. Yeah, 41 seconds. That's a long pit, but the pit exit lane is hugely long. And an interesting thing we found out right on the exit where it goes, you go back out of safety car control, out of pit lane control, and go to free speed. There's 2 green cones, and they're normally plastic. We figured out this week one is definitely made of concrete because it took the wheels off people. So they've all got to be a little careful of that one cone on the right-hand side.
I'll tell you what, how about this? Sitting in 5th place at the moment, in the meantime, Charlie Milliken is a lapped car who's going to get out of the way, is debutant at the series, Chase Saxill, who's running in a phenomenal position as it currently stands, as we're watching the battle on the screen as well. Yeah, so this is Chase Saxill at the moment. And Dave, I'll give you the opportunity to give us the rundown because I know you know a fair bit more about this youngster.
From what I know, and Chris Mitchell gave me a bit of a heads up this week. He's a young Western Australian boy. As I understand, he's an 11-year-old karter. So, you know, how good is that? These guys can get out here with some really seasoned racers, and he's pretty new to iRacing. So not just is he new to the series, but he's new to iRacing. What a great showing, first time out, and he's running in 5th place on the road. Brilliant, 11-year-old boy. And I'm going to tell you, Oceane Colangelo, she's a 12-year-old girl. So we've got some fantastic young talent out here.
Wow. Yeah, that's brilliant. I can't believe that. And I think one of the big things, and I was going to talk to a few different people this week about, oh, God.
There's McCone. That's Concrete Ken on the right.
Yeah, so I was going to say, on the right of that shot, is that looking down the pit lane exit, or is that looking back up at the pit lane entry? So it'll be flipped. So it probably was the cone on the left, I think. So that cone will probably be giving a few people nightmares later on, but we're going to get to the pit lane exit first.
But isn't it great to see young talent like that? And the opportunity now is that they can spend good time on the now it's the one on the left there, but they can spend good time in the simulator and really hone their racecraft and a bit of they even learn a little bit of understanding of setup and how to change the car and what differences it makes, and make the rear shocks really soft and see how that affects the way the car drives, and you learn so much. And if you make mistakes while you're doing it and hit the fence, it doesn't cost anything. In the real world, you put it in the fence, it costs a lot of money, and there's half the season's budget gone. So, this really allows the guys to hone their talent, also get their racecraft up, race with real people, not, computer-controlled or AI bots, but real people who make real mistakes and who you race with in the real world. So I think it's fantastic, and it's an opportunity I wish was around when I was young.
Damien Cairns.
Oh, missed it.
He might watch that one back later and find out. Oh, no!
Now, who was that man? Jason Depp.
Goes Jason Depp.
Yep.
And the guys who have come in and snatched it out from underneath him might say that they have plundered with the great Johnny Depp. So they'd be wrong.
God.
I'm here to entertain.
Thousands of comedians out of work, and you want to be one.
Well, they should get into commentary. They might make something of it.
There you go. So let's. I'm really impressed, and I think Chris Mitchell's probably going to be a bit miffed because he's introduced Chase in here to the F3A, and guess who's right behind Chase? Chris Mitchell.
And can't keep up with him as well. He'd be loving that. He's also in with a shot of catching Matt Morris up ahead. That's Chris Mitchell in the rearview mirror. I think the key thing, though, is that, it's something fun to do. You obviously have a passion for racing, but it's getting the fun in it, and it's meeting people across the country, across the world even.
And the big difference, one of the big differences with sim racing is that while you're racing, you can talk to your mates in the other cars. In the real world, I can't talk to the bloke in the car in front or behind me.
You can do two things at once?
Yeah.
I can't drive and talk to people.
Oh, I can. Yeah. Our producers just suggested that Scott actually can't drive in the first place, but we're all having a chuckle here. But in all seriousness, it is one of the great things. Like I do some long distance races, and I do it with mates who are in America, in the UK, in New Zealand, and mate, we're racing and talking to each other. I mean, it's like spending an afternoon in the pub with your mates, but at the same time you're racing cars, and yeah, it's just fantastic. And I can sit here and have a beer afterwards and whatever, and have a chat to the boys. And I've met so many people. I've met so many true real world people. I mean, I've sat on here and had a chat with Lando Norris. I've had a chat with Oscar Piastri while I've been out in lobbies. Yeah, some of the world champions, sports car and touring car drivers, and all sorts of things. It's amazing how many people you get to meet. And what other sport out there? You can't go and play tennis and play around with Pete Sampras, can you? But you can in our world, and how lucky are we?
Curtis Webb, lucky at the moment. Lucky that his brother let him on by and didn't fight that one too much. Now holds a
running away a
2-second margin. Yep. But Harry Lawrence is sitting right there in terms of Declan Webb, and he is just shadowing him. I wonder whether or not Harry might try the undercut, might just try and pull something on these guys here and just sort of mess with them a little bit. Because if you know, the saying is, if you keep doing what you're doing and sitting right there, you can't really get the job done. I think one of the best ways he's going to get that job done as he comes off of the hairpin is this pit lane entry will be away on the left-hand side. Nope, neither of them go for it. So we are now 17 and a half minutes through this 30-minute race. And still sits. He's making time up. He's matching those lap times. He's now within a tenth of a second, but now the dirty air will start to take over. Down through turn 1. Back to the left through turn 2. Curtis Webb will go ahead and set the fastest lap. 3. The pit lane exit on the left. And the run down to the sharp turn at 4. Look for some drive out. It's a double apex though. You can't carry the speed all the way through, and then it's a flick back to the left. So positioning, timing the corners, timing the turn-ins. Very technical, very tricky. Not as for a flat track. It's not quite as simple as it looks on the tin.
I'm really quite enjoying the livery on Harry Lawrence's car as well. It's a nice metallic sort of goldy sort of it's like an old gold, isn't it? It looks awesome. It's catching the light. Yeah, it's another element of sim racing. All the designs and the liveries and the team liveries, and I mean, it is really fabulous.
Declan Webb just punches into the chat to let Harry know as well. Something else that doesn't happen in real world racing. Hey, I'm pitting in this lap, so just be aware on the pit lane entry. So some of the benefits, some of the negatives of sim racing is the communication at the same time. You wouldn't get that in the real world, but what it does do is create a little bit closer racing. You know exactly what everyone's going to do. Everyone's diving into the lane, but Harry Lawrence, Curtis Webb, Declan Webb both in. Lawrence will come through. Harry Lawrence is going to lead a lap. How long is he going to run in terms of this pit lane strategy? What does the guy behind him, Chase Sexhill, do? Sexhill's in the pit lane now, and Mitchell will follow him in as well. Coliangelo is also in. I think Chastanoff and Harry Lawrence are the only two. Someone backwards out of the final corner is Dennis Hawken as he steps sideways, and through comes Chastanoff.
And Harry Lawrence, when he does pit, because he's done an extra lap, he's going to need a lap less fuel to get to the end. So you might find he just makes a little bit quicker pit stop. He's probably been sitting there, and that, you know, we're saying he's sitting back there behind. He's been sitting back there behind, saving fuel. That's why he's got.
And Chase Saxhill, learning the lessons the hard way, has put more fuel on than anyone else around him. Everyone else sub 5 seconds.
Lost about a second.
Chase has pumped some extra gas into that thing, and the rejoin is now going to be quite
slow stop there for Colangelo as well. 6.5 seconds. So there's a couple of slow stops out there. What I'm really looking forward to is seeing what's the time that Harry Lawrence's pit stop goes for. Because if he can save about a second, he'll come out of this in the lead.
I think he was about 2 seconds back off Curtis, so he'll split them though. He will split them, which will be the interesting thing. How long was the pit stops though? A couple other drivers have gone long. Stephen Book, Chris Ireland both shot through.
Is he in this time?
On that one.
Yes, he is. He's in this time. So Harry's in. Ooh, nice. Oh, sideways over the line. Fairly committed to the pit entry. Nice pit entry.
Was commitment all the way in. Everyone else, I think, is going to be coming back in. now. So now we watch, now we wait in terms of the Declan and Curtis Webb combination. Where are they on track? They do have a Lamb New
Well,
one.
4.5 wasn't a super quick stop. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't super quick.
And that is Harry Lawrence, and he's dropped a spot. No, I think that's Callum. That might be a lapped car. It is indeed. It's Callum Newton that's just in front of him, so that is not relevant. And in fact, he's actually going to come out right behind both of them and nearly gets caught by Matt Morris in the whole process. And,
he's lost out to Declan Webb as well. I think he got a bit of traffic in the pit lane, which probably lost him a little bit of time. And also, it wasn't a particularly fast stop, which is a pity. I thought he had a chance there of splitting the boys.
I think there might have been an incident or something on the in-lap. So we're hearing, and the replay will now tell the story.
So this is the in-lap before his pit stop. Oh, that's lost him a load of time. You can add 2-3 seconds to his pit stop. So yeah, that's why he didn't split them.
Well, he was on the run down the back straight too, was when that happened.
Yeah.
So that was the drive off onto the back straight, which means he's probably lost more than that, probably more 3-4 seconds, which is right about the amount of time he's come out behind Declan Webb. We get an opportunity to have a look at the lap times this time by, and that might tell the story. In the meantime, Morris is sort of settled back and in now, and it'll be an interesting one to see how that goes.
So Chase Axel, he's still sitting here in 5th place, and he's got 7/10 over Chris Mitchell. So, you know, Chris thinks he's going to be hero again, I suppose. But yeah, no, he's done a really good job, and I know he had a little bit of a slow stop, but he's lost a little bit of time to Chris, but he's not given up in position, so that's good to see.
For now. And Chris will be hunting him, and Chris will be trying to put pressure on, because one of the best ways to teach a youngster is to apply some pressure and see how they respond.
So that's Chase there in the blue, red and yellow car, with Chris Mitchell in the white car behind him. So
Dennis Hawkins is a lapped car just in front of him, and Dennis will probably be obliged to get out of the way. Runs a little bit deep, pinches the brake, runs wide, and does happen to clear him. Now Chris will try and cut his way through. Doesn't look like Chase lost a huge amount of time. How close is Mitchell going to be when they get down here to turn 10? Closes in a little bit, long back straight now. So you don't make glass by sticking, but by sticking it in the fire. And now Chase Saxill will find out if he is going to crumble.
It's not much of a straight, is it? It's just like a lot of corners to get.
Oh, Chris Mitchell with the inside.
That's a big dive.
Goes deep again. And gets the job done. And now what
Lots
is
of
Chase
brake.
going to do to respond? Nice rotation, though, from Chase. And now he's going to be in the dirty S. And now he's going to learn. This time.
Mitchell snatched a little break on the way in there. We saw a little puff of smoke off the front tyre. This is good. These boys go gangbusters, and I expect they're talking to each other as well. If I was Chase, I'd be giving Chris absolute curry on the microphone.
Yeah, I mean, if I was in here, Damien Cairns has now had issues.
Is that a quiet night tonight?
Yeah, unlike him.
Yeah, and is that a new livery for Damien? Because I thought he had a green livery, or was that last season? I can't remember now.
And this will tell the story. I thought this was the normal one.
Oh, just lost the rear. Yep.
Tell you what, though, this battle continues to spice up. I was watching the replay and this battle at the same time, and I was going, oh, it's close. It's close.
We've got Curtis Webb with his 2.5 second gap over Declan, and then it's another 3.5 seconds back to Harry Lawrence. So that 3.5 seconds is about what he would have lost in that spin. What a pity, what a pity.
And this is Oshan Coliangelo and Chris Island as they go toe-to-toe. Chris has got the momentum, but he's going to be on the long way round on both of these kinks, and you've got to be on the inside when you get down here to the sharp one. So this is 12. Then
or you can sometimes make a switch here and got the that was well held by Colangelo on the inside. Absolutely lost the car, lost grip, but managed to hang on to it and not take out Chris Island at the same time. So that was a good little bit of driving, but I think that's just unsettled her a little bit. She's dropped about a car length or so there as a result. But boy, that was right on the edge for her.
Talking about drivers that have had to come back through the field a couple of times, Chris Island has had to cut his way through the field tonight.
We're up to 9th.
And has done a good job of doing so. But again, this has provided opportunities, and Chastanoff's getting a tow just up ahead, trying to run away from Stephen Bull from Callum Newton, and Newton will let them hopefully go by. And by the way, Chase Saxhill back by
He's back in front.
Yep, here we go.
Come on, Chase. Show the old bloke what you're made of.
It's good fun when you're released to race a friend and air quotes teammate, but I would say more a friend. Like there's somebody getting into something, because then it's, you know, all gloves are off, and at the end of it, if it goes wrong, you can sort of just say,
oh, here we go again. He's done the same move. Same move again. The Chase next time, just put your car right where he wants to be, mate.
I reckon if he was forced to go the long way around, I don't think it'd happen either.
Yeah. It's such a high-speed corner, that last right-hander, and then as soon as the car is straight, almost before it is, you've really got to jump on the anchors really hard to pull it up. That's a very, very tight right-hander there, and it starts the sequence of left-handers up onto the main straight. So, yeah, great little corner sequence.
The whole track's just brilliant. The whole track's just really, again, flat but technical is the correct way to describe it.
And the nice thing about it is it's got really good flow. I always talk about flow on a circuit. I don't like circuits that stop, go, or...
Chase back to the inside. He's going to have a go.
Yep.
Got all the way to the curb. Got underneath him. Understeer from Chris Mitchell. And now Chase has him out the other side. Does he cover? Does he look to defend? And just cover the inside?
No.
He doesn't. And Chris fires it down the inside. But can he hold
But
the
he'll get the run off here. Look at that. Beautiful.
And now he's to the inside. The 11-year-old driving like a professional.
Well, driving with a head much older than he is. So, yeah, doing a great job. Come on, hold Chris out there. You can hold Chris out on the outside now. You can't get down to that inside. No, there's Chris, and he's caught out on the curb there, nearly lost the car. Now, where there's a little bit of a gap. So come on, Chase, put that air between the two of you.
There'll be 2 more laps left to run when they come out of the last corner, by the way. I think as we cross the start-finish line, there's just enough time for us to get 2 more laps in. So this is going to go to 21 laps.
Yeah, Mazzaroli's had a hell of a night, because remember he went off on the first lap. Where is he now? He's 12th. So, yeah, he's had a tough fight back through tonight. Hopefully he's had some good racing on the way. Now, we can see there, he's made that little break over Mitchell now, because Chris made that little mistake on the curb. It was just enough to open a bit of a gap. Ooh, that was a bit sideways there. Great little sequence of corners.
I really like the fact that he got to the lead coming down to that last hairpin, because it's given him some confidence, and now he can go after it. Alex Stevens and Jason Depp are going to go after it.
And Harry Lawrence has just gone round and lost 3rd place to Matt Morris as a result. It looked like he'd done it all by himself coming onto the main straight, onto the start-finish straight, I think, from what I caught out of the corner of my eye. Well, I don't know whether they got the right corner, but he did it by himself. I think I got the wrong corner.
That was the middle of the lap, because I saw a bunch of smoke just before. It's right in the middle of the lap. That's turn 8.
Yep.
And now Chris Lawrence is going to come back and chase once again. Gets back to the inside. He's just going to cover it. Will be 1 more lap to go when we get back to the start-finish line, and he's forced to slot in once again. Could this be timed right from Chris Mitchell? They're still going toe-to-toe. There'll be no fighting over this one. In the background, though, is Chastanoff and Stephen Bull, who are now locked in horns. And that one's not decided either.
And if I was Chase, I'd be sort of thinking about my excuses in case I lost. And I'd be saying that, I let the old bloke have one because he hasn't got a lot of wins left in him at his age.
Maybe that's part of getting experience. My word, how did he get underneath him?
He's down the inside.
That's a phenomenal drive, but this time he gets back ahead of him. Now he's going to look to try and disappear and get the flow going. And he's getting reasonably good drive.
He's got to cover the inside up the main straight, because Chris is going to sit there until that back straight and try and pull that move down the inside again.
Oh, he's not going to wait.
No, he's not going to wait.
So Chris fires it back to the inside. There's going to be another right-hander up here. Harry Lawrence is around as well, so they're both going to finish with the top 5. So now this becomes the battle for 4th. He's on the outside at the hairpin. Does he switch him back again? Mitchell goes deep, and again he outfoxes him. Outfoxes him like he wouldn't believe. Cover the inside, Chase. Don't let him in
cover the inside. If you can cover this inside, he's got this. But Mitchell's going to try and switch. See, there he goes, switch. On your Chase. Cover the inside, mate. You've got it. He covered the inside that time. Now, Mitchell's going to dive and see. He's covered the inside again. Really nice bit of driving. And great win there to Curtis Webb. Beautifully done, mate. Sorry I haven't spoken about you, but it's boring seeing you win so easily. But great drive by Declan as well. And who's that around on the last lap?
It's Chris.
It's Stephen Bull.
Chris Mitchell's gone around as well, although he's going to get out of the last corner. He will lose a spot to Harry Lawrence. But there's damage on the front of that car.
Just got across the line in front of Chastity.
Wait, was he out of fuel? He might have been out of fuel.
Don't know.
I'm pretty sure that engine is shut off. Yeah, it is. So,
hold on,
Mitchell. Yeah, Mitchell's out of fuel. Mitchell was out of fuel. In the meantime, look at these guys just down back here. As they get through now, everyone is now done and out the other side.
Looked like there was that Ocean Colangelo out of fuel as well.
Somebody ahead of Stephen Bull might have run out of fuel as well. They got the extra lap in. That's what it was. They got the extra lap in, and the only one that was properly fueled for it might have just been Chase. So he did take that longer stop, but he was fueled for it.
And Matt Morris, of course. Matt's done a great job to get himself up on the podium there. That was an eventful finish. We had people running out of fuel. We had poor Harry Lawrence had the worst couple of laps of his life at the end of that race. After doing so well for the whole race, to spin twice in the last lap and a half, I feel for him. And it dropped him right off the podium. He's back in 5th place. So really sorry to see that.
The other side of that coin, though, you might say, is that he spun 3 times and still finished 5th. So to do that still takes, some sort of skill. He was right on them, though. Took the challenge to him, which was the key part about all of that. But Chase Sachs, an 11-year-old on debut, finishes in 4th.
Yeah, pretty good. And showed Chris Mitchell a few tricks. Taught him a few tricks.
Including make sure you put enough fuel in the car. That makes him look like a rookie. Oh, I hope Chris is going to absolutely watch this back and listen to us destroy these.
I'll be getting messages tonight, I'm sure.
Well, that's how they finished outside the top 10. Robbie Griffiths from Leith Hardy, Jordan Mazzarelli drove back to 13. Liam Nguyen, Chris Barnes, Damien Cairns with the spin late on. Jason Depp didn't have a great night at the office. Stevens, Hawken, and Milliken all finish off the lead lap. Callum Newton was the other finisher, and then we get into the retirements. Callan Arthur and Ryan Jones. Unfortunately for Ryan, did get a message about him. PC and screen issues. Of course, the upgrade in iRacing will do it to you. Anyway, we are going to be back in just a few minutes, and I've got words from the pro split that qualifying is extremely tight. We might see if we can grab a quick word with our race winner. Indeed, we've got him, Curtis Webb. That was an interesting one. You started on pole, Deck got ahead of you, and then was there a little bit of chatting of, come on, mate, speed up.
Was he Carl Sainting?
Yeah, I kept, I really overheated the tires at the start because I almost, I don't know if you guys saw it, but I almost spun, so I had to catch it, and my tires were kind of shot after that, so I had to just cool down for a lap or two.
Mate, in terms of things, it was a good little dice, though, the first few corners, just enough space given, and we were talking about it. He's nearly made contact. Would there have been a little bit of a brawl going on in the Webb household if there was contact made? How do you resolve those sorts of disputes?
Oh, most definitely there would have been.
I hated losing to my brother when I was racing, don't worry. Mate, in terms of things, it's been brilliant. How did you find Misano? New track to the service, new track to the sim. Interesting night.
Yeah, it's a really fun track. I enjoy it. So yeah, good addition.
All right, mate. And then finally, in just a couple of weeks, where are we off to next, Dave?
We are off to
Portimao,
Portimao, which is, or what's it called? Algarve. It confuses me so much because I can't remember Algarve. I remember Portimao, and every time I go looking for the track, I can't find it. Yeah, fabulous circuit. Probably, I rate it as probably one of the best circuits in the world.
Yes, Sam, I love it.
All right, wonderful. We'll see you again in next week, Curtis. Have a lovely evening, brother, and go let your brother know who won tonight.
Sit back and watch the pro.
Thanks, please. Yeah.
Cheers.
All right, we'll be back in just a few moments, ladies and gents. Just jumping across to the pro split. Qualifying's intensely tight. Who got on top? Find out in a couple minutes.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Well, after a fiery race in the silver division, now it's time to let the big boys go at it, albeit because more than one of the drivers in the silver division was actually under the age of 13. Can't believe that the rookie's getting up there and having a real stonking go. But now it's onto the Team Racing Championship here, Dave, and team standings have been hotting up over the last couple seasons, and with just a couple rounds to go, it cannot get tighter than it is right now.
Mate, you talk about tight. I'm going to tell you the top 15 cars on the grid here are within 0.5 of a second of each other.
And on the points table as well, 1 point for the championship lead.
Yep.
1 point. How supreme is that?
Between Eclipse SimSport, which is Callum Chim and Caleb Hydes, and Fiercely Forward, which is Daniel Harris and Lee Zeltwanger, and they're all up the front of the grid as well, of course. Daniel Harris back a little further than we've seen him, back in 5th place. Here we go.
I tell you what, here's the qualifying times. Pole position 26.400 for Ben Roberts, manages to get it up on the pole position, but off alongside of him, 16,000 per second, Lee Zeltwanger. Kalen Chin lines up on row number 2. How about this off alongside of him though? Drew Collins, phenomenal qualifying effort, less than a 10th, gets him inside the top 2 rows of the grid. Dan Harris, his worst qualifying effort of the season is a 5th. How about that for a qualifying stat? 1.5 tenths further back and 1,000th of a second behind him, Jack Mara. Well, that's why he's got the 1 on the car. That's the margin between him and the car ahead of him. 7th and 8th, Bailey Evans and Eddie Beswick. And we'll throw it back to 9th and 10th. Ewan Baker, the 2 NZ sim racing cars inside the top 10. Will be a little bit hotter than that. Scotty Bartine, another consistent qualifying effort as well. We'll throw it 1 row further back and we'll have a look at Denny Davison and Kobe Williams for the second of the Valve Esports cars and the Eclipse SimSports 5-6. Then we'll be over to Caleb Dawson and Tyson Broad in the first of the DBM cars. In behind them, though, is going to be the key factor in terms of that championship fight. Caleb Hyde's out of 15th place here tonight, off alongside of Giuliano Sinese. By the way, he's only just over 0.5 of a second off the pole position. And again, less than a thousandth of a second difference between those two drivers. It went down to the 10,000th to resolve that one. Kenny Kanomas off alongside of Caleb Bellack, the first of the SLM cars. Then it's going to be Matthew Keane, the second of the SLM cars, 1.5 seconds off of pace, 19th position. Lachlan Taylor rounds out your top 20. Then we get down to the final row of the grid. Will be John Monday and Sam Chapman. And the Vermilion Esports driver off the back row. Ben Roberts has got the pole position. First turn's going to be a right-hander though. Can Zeltwanger fire it off? And where's Harris going to go? From 5th on the grid. Can he cut his way through the field? Zeltwanger's going to fly the bag for the fiercely forward machines. But in the meantime, it's Ben Roberts' race to lose. Round the outside, Callum Shin's going to have a go at him. There was no hole there for Harris to get up the inside. There is a turn 2. Harris makes contact around. Harris goes. There's damage on the front end of Drew Collins' car. They all managed to sidestep it. Bailey Evans has grabbed a spot. Mara's up to 6. Can Mara go around the outside as well? Because Collins is a little bit slower. Doesn't quite have the front downforce, and the tyre temperature not quite there as well. And Harris was supremely deep down there at turn 2.
He was a bit of a Perez there, wasn't it? Straight through the field backwards.
And it's going to open up a couple of opportunities for drivers. Kalen Shin now going to try and slide it through on Zeltwanger. Can he see if he can find some time and some space? They're still side by side as they run down to turn number 9. It's going to be Zeltwanger on the inside for the 2 corners here, looking for the crisscross though. Kalen Shin does manage to get back underneath him. If they keep squabbling at this rate, Ben Roberts is going to disappear down the road. And now Kalen Shin does get to the right-hand side of the road. Where's the drafting opportunity? Now it's to the inside. Shin's got control of that spot. Zeltwanger's been forced to go the long way around. Lifted out a little bit to try and get some downforce on the front end of that car. And they'll all fly down on in here. Where's Williams? Where's Bedwick as they try and chase up here? It could be a good opportunity for a point tonight for these 2 drivers.
This is a hectic, and back there we're seeing them 3 and 4 abreast again on that opening lap. But looking at the teams there, and I think this he must have had a little mistake there on those last couple of corners.
We 3-1. We were 3-1 for just a moment. Kalen Shin cuts his way through. Zeltwanger's going to find the opportunity, so there must have been a slider the last corner. He trimmed the car out. It was a slowdown penalty we're hearing, so just an abuse of track limits, just fractionally too much. And it's going to be down the back straight here. Yep, that's off track. That's a slowdown penalty on the inside.
That's an unnecessary penalty. Unnecessary penalty. By that I mean not a penalty. It was unnecessary. It was unnecessary to take that much road and really even give yourself a chance of a penalty. It's silly.
Yeah, and now he's going to shake it off. Have a look at the guys from the rear end of the field trying to cut their way through. It's going to be Sinese and Kenny Kanomas down at turn 8. We try and fire through. Somebody went backwards down the other side. Tyson Broad facing in the wrong direction.
Oh, and somebody else coming back on the road there as well. That being Caleb Dawson, so he was off the road as well. There's a few people dropped it on the Colt. I was talking about the Colt tyres in silver. The same thing in Dan Harris just got 3 wide to pick up 2 spots. One of them was Sinese, the other was Kanomas. It was supreme. And now it's going to be Caleb Bellack, I think, lining up to have a go. Both of them have tagged. They've made contact. It's going to be ejected stage left. It's Kenny Kanomas and Giuliano Sinese who bowl a wide down the last sector. And dear.
Tempers are flaring when we head to Misano. There was a little bit of space and it disappeared in a sudden.
These guys are also.
Bellack's gone around.
These guys are also running lower downforce, than the. That was a dangerous rejoin there. Spinning in front of somebody, but they're running less downforce. The cars are even more loose and edgy, and that's what's catching them out. The cold tyres and the low downforce here, certainly catching a few of them out.
So no further action. Contact with Sinese on lap 2, so that would be the incident with Kanomas. So I wonder whether or not there might have been a touch of netcode getting involved in that one. We'll get an opportunity to have another look at it. And that's Caleb Bellack. So this is where it happened. And Bellack was right on his bumper.
I think, who was the last car in the queue? Because the last car in the queue hit the one in front and pushed him into the one in front of that.
It was Bellack. It was the SLM car.
It was the green and black car. So yes. So I think you'll probably see a little bit of a penalty coming there because it's straight in the back of the car.
Yeah. Oh, no, there was no contact.
No, there wasn't.
Oh, there you
no
go.
touch at all. That looked completely different there to what I saw from the overhead. So that there's a penalty in there somewhere because somebody ran somebody up the back.
I mean, it'll depend upon whether or not he might have broken a fraction early, wasn't expecting it. He would say
Yeah,
he can't hit the car in the back.
I don't think that was Balak at all.
Wasn't Belak that hit him. Yeah. So that's Konomas and Sinase.
And then this is the next one. Oh no, then we're getting a slow replay here. So yeah, no. Oh, that was actually a really nice little bit of avoidance driving there from Balak to not get involved in that. So
when he changed, Konomas had nowhere to go either. He was always going to hit him because Belak was too close behind.
Yep. And the trouble is when you get that close too, you haven't got the downforce, so the car is more likely to lock a brake as well. You just got to leave a little bit of room in those braking areas.
Interesting one, by the way, because Caleb Hydes was the fastest car. Set the fastest lap, and then that's Giuliano.
That's cold tyres straight out of the pits.
I don't think it was too much damage onto that car, by the way, so I think you'll be okay. In the meantime, I tell you what, Dan Harris is up to 13th, starting to close in on Bartain, and Bartain's in a little pack with himself, Caleb Hydes, and Denny Davison as the three cars.
Look at the teams here. Look at the teams here, because we may have Eclipse out front, but his teammates back in 10th. I was going to say that early on. Caleb Hyde started 15th on the road, so he's now up to 10th. But he was the odd one out. The rest of the teams are at the front of the field. DPR looking really, really good, running there in 2nd and 5th, and 4th and 6th to the Eclipse crew. Nicely done as well. The 75 SimSports, Drew Collins, really putting in a great drive. I don't know where his teammate is. And you see Daniel Harris there fiercely forward, back in 13th with his teammate running there in 3rd. So, you know, it is going to change that. If it stays this way, it's certainly going to change that leaderboard.
And update on that incident was Kenny Konomas picking up a penalty. There's a car stuck on the apex. It's Drew Collins who's facing in the wrong direction.
I did it again, didn't I?
I'm
not going to talk about anyone.
How much do I have to pay you to never talk about me? Because I could use some luck at the moment. I know Dave Roberts is commentating in the background and gets tripped over. Was that Ewan Baker or Jack Mara? Might be
No, that was Jack Mara.
Yeah.
That was Jack Mara. So I'm pretty sure you'll see a little penalty coming Jack Mara's way for that one.
Yeah, well, his teammate's right behind him as it currently stands, and they'll be 7th and 8th. And Caleb Hydes has driven through the field, by the way, and he sits 9th right now, and he is tracking down Ewan Baker. And I tell you what, Ewan Baker's losing a ton of time on the straight, so both of the NZ Sim Racing guys have actually got a fair bit more downforce on this car than the competition around them. So Hydes is supremely quick in a straight line, but that's so much risk. It is nearly a medium downforce kind of circuit because there's so many long, fast corners.
Yeah, and you know, the things here are the different setups, so that you will find that, you know, they may be able to turn a really fast lap time, but if they're slow on a straight line, it's easy to pass in a straight line. If you're faster in a corner, you can't really do anything about it because there's a guy in front of you. You know, very hard. So you need that straight line speed because it's better to race with the low downforce because you've got that straight line speed.
Oh, car around. Is that Ben Roberts? No, it's Bailey Evans is around. So we were talking about how well the DPR guys were going in terms of points, and that is going to send him to the back. And investigating the incident between Jack Mara and Drew Collins. So that one will come to a conclusion soon. In the meantime, Daniel Harris is going to fire it down the inside. Has now cleared Scott Bartain. And now he sets chase after the second of the Valve Esports drivers.
Danny Davison.
That's the pack just ahead. Bailey Evans is at the back end of it now.
So there we go. Jack Mara's copped Jack Mara and Drew Collins on lap 5 under investigation causing incident. So they're looking at the Jack Mara incident at the moment, and that's what I said to you. I think you'll find you'll get a little bit of a penalty, and 5-second penalty. So, the other thing we've got to remember is these guys have got no fast repair in Pro. In Pro, it is just like the real world. You bench a car, you're out of the race. So they've got to be. Oh, that's just
so Evans.
Yep, just snatched an area brake. So they've got to be careful. They've got to be mindful. You can't go smacking into a car and go, oh, don't worry, I'll get a fast repair. You can easily put yourself out of the race.
Yeah, and now Daniel Harris is trying to hunt down a couple of guys. In the meantime, this is the battle for the race lead. Kalen Chin is getting really harassed now by Ben Roberts, and he's right on his tailpipe. He's nearly going to start lifting up that crash protection structure at the rear end of the car. Well, over the last couple of weeks, though, we've seen Ben Roberts opt to go for a fuel-saving strategy. Chin's normally got the pace, and that's his strongest weapon, particularly when the rain comes out to play. Now, he's going to get harassed, and he's going to get driven around in a completely different manner, and he's got to find a way out of this one. Sometimes maybe you just lift out at the end of the straight, you force the overlap, and then you lift out and let him lead.
Yeah, I actually think Ben Roberts has got the pace here tonight. I think he's got that just a half a tenth or so a lap quicker. The trouble is that you can't drive away from somebody when you're only half a tenth quicker. You know, you're going to drag them along in your toe, and you're going to be competing. That's why sometimes it's better not to lead. You can just sit there and follow the guy in front, save some fuel, get an extra lap, do a quick pit stop, and come out in the lead with enough of a break that you haven't got him sitting in your toe.
Well, Daniel Harris picks off another move. It's on Danny Davison. So now he's back into 9th position, and as we ride on board with him towards turn 1. We haven't had an opportunity tonight thus far, and next time by, I think might be the perfect opportunity to do it. But an on-board lap around Misano is something to behold, and we'll get an opportunity to do that in the near future. In the meantime, back up front, again, Roberts supremely close. I don't know how much closer he can get to Kalen Chin. Yeah, he's lifting out. He's lifting out early. For sure, he's saving just a little bit of fuel.
So what he's doing is a bit of a lift and coast at the end of the straight. So he lifts early and coasts before he puts the brakes on. That's the best way to save fuel in these cars. And that's what Ben's doing, is sitting in behind. Now, who's that round? That's Sam Chapman round the wrong way.
Yep. Unfortunate for Sam Chapman. I think he's just had set to race control. There was something in that, so there might be a little bit of an investigation they'll be looking into. Caleb Hydes, I'm enjoying this drive from him. Started 15th, up to 8th at the moment, and he's starting to get closer to Ewan Baker. And this will be the update from Sam Chapman.
There is a bit of a... Oh, yeah, there sure was. Who was that behind him?
Would have been, it wouldn't have been Sinasa. It would have been Lachlan Taylor, I would say. Yeah, it was Lachlan Taylor.
Okay, well done. So, but certainly was something in that. There was a tap in the rear, and it's the one thing race control really look harshly upon is if you tap somebody in the rear and push them around, you have got a penalty without doubt.
Oh, an opportunity here, Dave, for you to take us through a lap of Misano. We've already gone through the first chicane.
All right,
and
so
turn 5.
So this is a quick rundown. It's none of the straights are straight here. You can see we're sliding around to the left, come up here. This is a very, very fast corner, even though it's a U-turn. Big, wide corner. Use lots of the curb on the way in, lots of the curb on the way out. Keep the mid-corner speed flowing. Try and get the mid-corner speed up. This is really an awkward corner. Ignore that first kink. It's all about getting the right exit here, and the kink can upset your thought and your rhythm. That's a really important corner because it exits onto the longest run at full throttle that there is on the circuit. Now here, it's not a straight. I won't call it a straight because it's got 1, 2, and 3 kinks in it, and the last one is just pretty much flat there, and hard on the brakes. Hook it in really, really tight, quite tight. Use plenty of curb. Again, get the drive out because this next corner here, this is flat. So it's flat through here, up into about 4th gear, 5th gear, and then just back to 4th. Hook it into this, onto the main straight, and you're looking for exit speed here because you've got a good long run, straight bit of road for a change, into a very fast right, left complex, and the left, you've got to get this left corner right because that means you can get through this whole sweeping right-hander flat. Now we come down to the tightest part of the circuit, which is the double right-hander with a little left flick on the way out. So we've got a double right-hander, use curb everywhere, back onto the left, and this is where we started the lap, and that was absolutely frantic.
And in the meantime, Jack Mara's gone around, and this will tell us how it happened. He was the lead car in the group, and I think it's going to be a touch too much curb. We touched on this in the silver race. It is.
Yep. See, same
curb,
thing.
Unsettled.
Yep. It just unsettles the car. It comes off the bump. You lose the rear grip because the car's lightened and around it goes.
I wonder whether or not the car's actually bottoming out and losing floor downforce as well. Would be my question.
I don't know whether they actually model too much floor downforce, to be honest. I never said that, but yes. Oh, that's somebody else around there I'm seeing on my other monitor, which is Tyson Broad around the wrong way. There we go.
Yeah. And,
nice little flick spin. Beautiful.
Sam Chapman, by the way, his night's done, so he's out of the server and over, and Lachlan Taylor got a drive-through penalty for it as well. So yeah, you were right, did get a penalty, and as now going to have to serve that on the next couple of laps. In the meantime, Harris and Hides are fighting it out toe-and-toe for 7th on the road, and that was the battle up at the front. So that was Kalen Chin still leading the way from Zeltwanger. And look at how close he's starting to get him. And remember, Hides didn't have all that great of a qualifying effort, but pick your battles. Pick your section on the racetrack. You can't get it done at 2. You might be able to get it done at 4, but you got to get a good drive off, which he did. Now switches back to the left-hand side of the road. He's trying to position the car perfectly. This will be a setup for the switchback. Hides will duck down to the inside. Harris is trying to flow the car and generate momentum out the other side. Hides was really, really good on the mid-corner there. Could be a small...
exit speed was really good by by Harris there.
Yeah.
The exit speed out of that corner was really good.
Now he's going to cover to the inside. The run down to turn number 8. They're starting to lose the back end of Ewan Baker whilst they squabble this way. And again, Harris is forced to look for the switchback. He'll stay attached here, and now he'll focus on the exit down to the straight. Yes, he's going to have to go the long way around when they get down to the back end at turn 13.
Looking for exit.
Rotates it nicely through the mid-corner, just far enough back to start to pick up some overspeed. So the draft kicks in. Speed will now normalise. Hides covers it to the inside. If he moves back, there might be a hole for Daniel Harris on the inside. So he'll look for that. No, he's going to just about pull alongside. On the left-hand side, they'll go through 11. Now they're through to 12. This is 13. And he's braking late down here. Hides is just a little bit more secure. So it looks like Hides might be carrying a touch more downforce. And the corner speed in the mid-corner is better, but could also be dirty air there, Dave.
Yeah, I think that's probably more dirty air because he really didn't lose a lot to him down the straight, but I think that the dirty air is upsetting the cars. Look at them all tucked in, it's like a Formula V race. They're all tucking in behind, all in line. Oh, and Danny Davison there putting immense pressure on too, looking to pick the pocket of Harris there and take the both of them. But looking down that top 10 now, we've got Kalen Chin leading by 0.2 of a second from Ben Roberts. Zeltwanger 1.4 seconds back. Then the pair of Kobe Williams and Eddie Beswick and their team cars 5 and 6 seconds back. They're sitting in a nice hole. They've got 4 seconds to the guys in front and 3 seconds to the guys behind. And what's happened?
It was Danny Davison and Bailey Evans. They both just lost a bunch of time because they're right on the back end of Scott Bartain. So it's Bartain that's ahead of Danny Davison as it currently stands.
Yeah, so
something just happened in that last sector.
Yeah, something went on. Here we go. We'll get a replay. So down the outside, Davison. Oh, I don't know whether there was a touch there or... Yeah. Wow. But yeah, so the Eclipse boys are looking really good here in 4th and 5th. And when you look at the team position, they're doing really well. The battle is between them and the Eclipse guys of Caleb Hides and Kalen Chin. So it's the 4 Eclipse cars that are really making the running here. So Ewan Baker sits there in 6th. And he's just
Daniel Harris is going to pull alongside off the last corner, so this will be really, really tight because it's the run into turn number 1. You can cover to the inside. Kalen Chin sits the new fastest lap of the race. So he's responding to the fuel saving with speed, and Harris is he just can't build enough speed in the right spots. And Roberts, I get the feeling Roberts is doing the same. So this is another replay, the onboard shot. And he wasn't quite clear, but he didn't leave enough room to the left-hand side. I
like to see that rather than the car bouncing off and everybody spinning, because that's what happens in the real world. You have a bit of a touch and a bump, and you see it in F1. They touch and they bump each other with the wheel, and nobody goes flying off the track. So
again, Harris is going to go to the outside. Now he's going to try and cross him back over, but Hides is just too good on that mid-corner. His weakest corner on the track is actually the last corner, but turn 1, you've got to be so far up alongside to get the job done. It's not really an overtaking spot. Now he's closer, actually, as they come off of turn number 10 and onto the back straight. Now he's going to generate the speed, but the problem is Hides can just cover it to the inside. Is he going to have the stones to try and go the long way around? Harris tries to pull alongside, doesn't quite get the axle alongside, so Hides is still going to have the advantage as they get down here. And not an option for him to try and swing by yet again. And we're coming up on 19 minutes right now out of this race. 26 minutes left to go. And an undercut might be on the cards. That might be the way you get the job done.
Yeah, because he's not finding anywhere to go by, and Caleb Hyde's driving really smart, and he's really got everywhere covered. He knows where he is, and he's just positioning the car in exactly the right spot in every corner. So doing a really, really good defensive drive.
Meantime, battle for the lead again. Ben Roberts is just shadowing.
I don't think it's a battle. I think Ben's just sitting there, and he'll be doing the same thing, lift and coast, save fuel, sit in the tow, save as much fuel as I can, try and get in that extra lap, maybe even 2, and then take less fuel at the pit stop, make a quicker stop, and pass him in the pit lane, and put a gap on him in the pit lane as well. That's what he's looking to do.
See what I just saw Ewan Baker pinch a brake down at turn 10.
It's good the way they can pinch a brake and you get that little puff of smoke now and that sort of thing. It's so realistic. It really is fabulous.
Harris is a touch closer, but again, space runs out. Gets covered by Hydes once more. Yeah, it's got to be the undercut. The undercut's how he's going to get this one. I think he can pass probably just about every other car because they're generating speed in different ways. But where he is at the moment, he just can't be close enough at the right opportunity, and you'll see it when they come out of the last corner, just how much quicker he is than Hydes off the last corner. And Hydes again has to catch the car at the mid corner, generates a run, but the front straight just runs out too quickly.
It is a case when you're climbing through the field that every car you pass, the next one's a little quicker than the last one you pass, and it gets harder and harder and harder to overtake.
Now Caleb Hydes runs a little bit wide at turn 2, gets onto a better line at turn 3 and turn 4, and is able to defend yet again. Harris can't carry the momentum. Now he's looking for the switchback, looking to just carry it, run a little wider here, and then try and bring it back. It's on the gas. He's just not close enough as they come off of this corner. That might be his best opportunity. He's not far enough up at the end of the back straight. Hydes again is forced to cover as they get down here to turn number 8. Can he swing it to the outside this time by? Can he look for the switchback now? Because once he gets underneath him, he gets alongside off an exit. He's in with a shout. And again, Hydes is going to have to cover. He forces him to block the whole way round. First the kick, then it's the switchback. Down at turn 10, looking for drive out the other side, and he's finally got the drive. He has finally got the drive for the first time as Dan Harris doesn't quite have the overlap, but he's closer and he's looking to stay alongside. A touch less downforce though from Caleb Hydes, and the straight line speed is supreme. He's going to hang on to this another lap, and Harris continues to just get stonewalled. It's an 8.
That's a superb bit of racing, and I do think that Caleb Hydes has a little touch more straight line speed. After Harris got the run out on the inside, I thought it was done, but in that first part of the straight, Hyde certainly had a little bit more speed, so he could regain and pull across the track in clear air in front of him. Really, really tight racing.
Which means Harris has got to find a braking zone to get it done. In terms of things,
I think it's a pit lane to get it done.
Yeah, and I'd agree with you. I think the lap pace and looking after the tyres is probably better. But the longer you sit here, the hotter those tyres are going to get, particularly those fronts, the way that they're treating them with how close they're following at the moment.
And so one little mistake, and Harris will be through. So the pressure is really on Hydes, and he's driving like champion at the moment.
They're still on up at the front, by the way. Gets a little bit closer as well. Getting an update coming through. This will be a replay on the bottom of the screen.
Jack Mara and slow down. Oh dear.
It's happened again, by the way. Daniel Harris has gone alongside again, and again the legs run out. Is he going to try and stay there this time?
Look at that. It's millimetres.
He's alongside now, though. He's absolutely alongside.
He's on the outside.
All the way around. Oh,
you can't do it down the outside.
Have to be very, very brave. A reminder,
That's not brave.
Because there's 1 point between these two teams in the championship, and it's first and third by their teammates up ahead. Halfway mark of the race, though, now, Dave. We've now crossed it.
There's half a race to go. Just keep your pants on, take a pill, relax, keep the pressure on him, but don't throw everything away with a desperate move. That's not being brave, that's being silly. You just sit here and let the race come to you. You've got the speed, you've got the speed. There's a pit stop to go. Everything can change. We're only halfway.
But the key factor is Caleb Hydes isn't making any mistakes, Dave.
No, he's doing a great job. I'm really impressed. and he knows where. That's what I said. He knows where to put the car every time. He knows where to put the car. The only place he's a little bit dubious is coming onto the back straight there, but he's got the straight line speed. He's able to do it. Look at that.
Oh.
That's passing underneath the tail. That's close.
That's trust too. The key is trust.
Yeah.
Oh, he didn't get the rotation, but he will get a toe. And he's given Caleb Hydes enough of an opportunity to get to the inside of the track.
But
now
he
he's going to be
can't get
forced to go the long way around. Does he look for the switchback though?
He hasn't got the straight line speed.
Track the whole way around the inside of these next couple of corners.
See, he has
the
not.
line.
He's down on straight line speed. That's the problem. He's actually carrying more grip, which is different to what we saw at the start of the season, because Harris had all the straight line speed, but here tonight he's not got that straight line speed, and it's really hurting him under race conditions.
How long do you wait, Dave? How long do you wait? Is it another 5
You just
minutes?
wait.
Bailey Evans is in the
What
lane,
can
by
you
the way.
do?
So Bailey Evans has said, hey, I can actually get something done in the pit lane here, and I think he was starting to crawl to the back end of this whole pack.
You could take a pit stop and try that and get out of play, but what you don't want to do is throw it away with a silly mistake.
Oh, now he's nearly to the back of him again. He's closer. Had to check up. Had to be patient on the throttle. Had to wait for Hydes to pick it up first.
I think he's probably better off getting himself out of here, taking a pit stop and getting himself out of here, because this is all a bit too close. And there's millimeters. The trust there, no net code. I mean, a little bit of net code, and the race is over for both of them. So just back it off a bit.
This is just good racing. This is brilliant.
It is good racing, but it's you're risking everything, and there's half a race to go yet.
He's got to pit. Just pit. Just get out of here.
Yep, I would.
He's still on at the front, by the way. The stoush between Ben Roberts and Kalen Chin has not gone anywhere. So that one's still on for young and old. And I wonder if Bartain just files into the pit lane, or Denny Davison, who's now clocking onto the back of these guys, it forces the hand. Then they've both got a pit. Is anyone in the pit lane?
Caleb Hydes and Daniel Harris on lap 18 under investigation for blocking.
I don't think there's anything in it, Dave.
I don't think
It's just
there's
good
anything in
racing.
it. I don't see any blocking. I've not seen any blocking at all. I don't see anything wrong with what I'm looking at. I'm seeing two guys going out really hard, and I'm seeing some of the best defensive driving I've seen in a long time. And nowhere have I seen him not leave a car on the outside.
Just pit. Hydes is starting to struggle in terms of those tyres now. They're really starting to lose. They've
But
lost
they
a
all
ton
are.
of time. Ewan Baker was at the front end of these guys. He's now 4 seconds in front of them. And now he starts to get a touch closer. The view from the rear wing and the view from the front wing. Tries to go for overlap. Still not quite there. Can he look for a switchback? Does he get power through the mid-corner? He does. Now he's going to try and pull alongside of him. The axle, the nose, it's just about there. The axle now drops off. The overlap disappears, but he's forced him to cover yet again. And now Bartain's nearly into them both. Can Bartain find some drive around the outside? Trying to get underneath him. Trying. Looking. No further action from race control in terms of blocking. Now the strategy comes into play. Can you have a look? Denny Davison, dive to the lane. Scott Bartain, dive to the lane, because then you screw the both of them.
Well, I just can't believe Harris is sitting out here and going lap after lap. Because if he's faster than the guy in front, go in the pits, come out and put the... You're not going to be blocked. You're going to run at your own pace. And when Hydes comes out of the pits, you'll be a mile in front of him. This is just silliness to be sitting here behind him.
See, you've got two cars. You've got the two Valve Esports cars. This is where I'd be just throwing one of them. You don't have to throw both. Throw one. Bartain at them.
I just think Harris is he's so caught up in this racing and trying to pass. He's got red mist and he's not thinking tactically about this race, and he should be in the pit lane. He should have been in the pit lane.
And now
if he makes a pit lane, he can make that decision, and Hydes isn't going to see it because he's behind him. So he's got a whole lap, and he's got a lap to put himself in front of him. And I reckon he could do it.
I reckon it'd be well and truly over and resolved within a lap. Once he clears him, he'll disappear up the road. That I have no doubt. But this battle for the race lead as well, there's nothing in this one.
And this is different because if you look at Ben Roberts here, he's not sideways, up, down, sticking the nose under the back. He's just calmly driving around behind him, concentrating on saving fuel. Now, are we going to see anyone dive to the pits this lane? This time, we've got 15 minutes to go.
Oh, Hydes was in deep. Now he is going to get alongside. He's on the outside, though, but he's got a little bit extra downforce. Does he force him into the pit lane? And Harris is going to go on for another lap. Now he's a lot closer than he has been. He's going to force him to come to the inside. Pin him. You've got to pin him to the inside. Don't let him open the track back up, but you have. And Dan Harris just cannot get this done. And I'm enjoying this from Caleb Hydes. This is the best he's looked all season, Dave.
Mate, I'd give him the 25 points or whatever it is for the win just for this drive. It's fabulous. Really, really clever driving.
Give me driver of the day any day. Oh, now Harris actually gets alongside, and it's alongside for the race lead too.
That's the first time we've really seen Roberts put the pressure on for the lead, and he's been calmly sitting there. Now he's really putting some pressure on, so maybe he's just trying to force a mistake here.
And Daniel Harris got squeezed onto the curb. Down
and now he's
5 and 6, and now he's dropped 2. So he's going to get to the inside of Denny Davison back here and slide back down. But now that he's 2 cars back, he might get a double toe. But the problem with the double toe is he's never going to get all the way back up there. This would be the lap. Now you have to pit. You don't have a choice now.
There's not enough aero in these cars in the toe to really get that slingshot off 1 and get 2.
So back to live pictures as they come off the hairpin for another lap. And Bartane's got it. So
Bartane's in.
So that's smart. That's smart from Bartane. And Denny Davison went with him. So now they're both kind of messed up. They can't do very much about it. And I'm really, really disappointed one of them didn't do that a little bit earlier. We're 31 minutes into this race. So they've only got to add 14, 15 minutes worth of fuel. So it's not as if the fuel margins were tight.
No, and if you're Caleb Hydes, you don't go in the pits and give him clear road. You just stay there for as long as you can, hold him up for as long as you can. And then, Bartane's had a very long stop, 7.4 seconds. But a quick one there for Danny Davison. That'll be interesting to see what happens.
Bartane's taking tyres. That's what that is.
That's interesting. That could be quite a good move.
If you're going to take tyres, you needed to want to kind of split the race in 2. Do it bog standard down the middle, because then you lose the least amount of time.
Yep.
And they're catching up to lap traffic. So this is the battle for the lead. And it'll be the same feelings. Denase's run wide at the last corner, lets him go straight away, gets right out of the way. And with more lap traffic coming, that would be the opportunity to dive to the lane as well. But they haven't done that. John Monday's the car that's just ahead of these guys. Not had a great night. Sits in 17th. Jack Mara's just ahead of him. And he was trying to let them go. They chased him. In the meantime, do they get an opportunity to dive to the lane?
Okay,
Caleb Hydes is in. So now Daniel Harris has been freed. Beswick's in. Baker's in. So there's a bunch of these guys that have retired to the pit lane now. They're running towards the tail end, and they might look to try and take tyres. I tell you what, with the way those guys were fighting, that might be the way to go. And again, I just think, could you imagine if Bartane had gone 23, 24 minutes into this race, taken tyres then, and given himself every opportunity to drive past those guys on fresher rubber? He'd be clear of them. He'd absolutely be clear of them.
The only trouble with tyres is the warm-up process. You lose seconds for the first 2 laps. And add that to the time, extra time it also takes to fit the tyres. You lose about 3 seconds in the lane, and then you lose at least another 3 seconds on the road. That's a lot of time to make up.
Well, Danny Davison's been passed already since coming out of the pits, and that was a 3-second difference in the pit stops. But Bailey Evans got out nice and quickly. Where does Hydes refit? He's about 6 seconds back off of Ewan Baker, so that's how much time they've lost with all that squabbling. It's actually quite a significant amount. Bailey Evans is only 2 seconds behind him. Is the other part of that conversation. Kalen Chin's going to dive into the lane. Ben Roberts is going to kick on for another lap, as does Zeltwanger. How long does Harris go, though?
Zeltwanger's had a really lonely drive tonight. He's been sort of sitting, a few seconds back, could see the guys up in front, couldn't really see anyone behind him, and just had a very lonely, quiet evening. But a great drive. So now Harris is third, second on the road, but pit stop to come.
Yeah, and Zeltwanger is in and out that lap as well, so He's
And the
committed to his
difference
strategy.
The pit lane times 40.9 for Kalen Chin. Zoltwanger 40.8. So look, there's not much, is it?
Tell you what, Kalen Chin got in and got out and is only 9 seconds behind Daniel Harris. That's how much that squabbling has cost them. And Evan, not Ewan Baker. Sorry, it'll be Bailey Evans was the driver sort of keeping up an eye on. I think there might have been tyres taken on some section of the Caleb Hyde's car. He might have only taken 2 tyres, or something's happened to him because he's dropped time to Bailey Evans now. Bailey Evans is starting to crawl all over him. Evans pit 5 seconds before, and there was a very, very long
43.4 with a 7.1 stop. So it doesn't look like he took tyres, maybe. But 43.4 versus what were we looking at before, 40.7 or something. So you're looking at, nearly 3 seconds.
And this next lap will be the key, right? We sort of just got to measure it because and Ewan Baker's sort of the yardstick on this one. I don't think Ewan's taken tyres in this instance. But then again, the pit stop's only an extra second longer, and they're all in. The last of the pitters are now in, so you can only get as far as lap 24 on that tank of fuel. Roberts is in.
Roberts, 4.6 seconds stationary is pretty good.
And Harris is about to pull up in his box.
That'll be a 40.5, 40.7. 40.5.
Oh,
that's a good time.
Alongside.
Here we go, and he's out in front.
He's got him. He's out front.
He's got him. But he's got cold tyres.
Maybe. Question mark.
No, he's got hot tyres because he didn't take tyres.
Yeah, so he might be okay.
4.6 seconds, he hasn't taken tyres. Daniel Harris, super flying stop, 4.3 seconds stationary.
So
what's his pit lane time? 40.3. I think that's possibly the fastest one we've seen, isn't it?
He's cleared them quite comfortably now, so he's now got 5 seconds in the rearview mirror, and he's only 2.5 seconds back off Ewan Baker. Could have the pace, and now it's going to be a battle now for Kalen Chin and Ben Roberts. Chin got back to the inside, got good drive off of turn 8, and gets down the inside, but now the crossover's on. Ben Roberts for a race lead. What's the trim like on both of these cars?
Yeah, what's the straight line speed like?
It looks similar. So Kalen Chin, it's the same way.
Chin's got that little bit extra. It's the same setup as Caleb Hyde's. They've got that little bit extra straight line speed, and it's just allowing them that that extra little bit of defense that they can hold that in a straight line, and they can make a pass in a straight line. So that straight line speed has been the key to those two cars tonight.
And I tell you what, I think Harris is taking chunks of time out of Ewan Baker as well. So he may range up on the back end of the NZ Sim Racing driver. So that one's not decided as well. And we've got ourselves 8 minutes worth of racing action left to go. So 1 minute 25 lap times. 6 minutes minus 20 seconds will be 5:40. Will be 4 laps. So we're going to get, I reckon, 7 laps left to go on this one.
So we're going to get exactly the same thing as we were watching with Harris and Hydes here now with Roberts and Chin, because we're going to see if Chin can do the beautiful defensive driving that we saw from Caleb Hydes earlier. So because Ben's going to be all over the back of him, but again, it's that little bit of straight line speed.
Or as his dad says, that little bit of pixie dust.
Oh,
that's
that's
the
a
inside.
nice
That's
little
deep.
move.
Pinches the right front quite significantly.
Lost it.
And Chin goes back on by. Had to get aggressive, had to have a crack. Well, he definitely did that.
But notice that Zoltwanger's not quite as far back as he was either.
Liam will be sitting there, smiling.
I don't think he's going to be
boys.
joining them, but he's certainly getting a little bit. Oh, they're right on the edge, aren't they?
Well, the other thing to consider here, Dave, as well, is for Kalen and Caleb, is trimmed out car. It means you haven't quite got the same amount of downforce, which means the car moves around a little bit more as Ben Roberts moves it around on the curbs at the last corner. So more time.
Oh, you got to slow down. Got to slow down. You got to slow down from that because he went so wide. You got to slow down.
So this will be a really, really good opportunity for Ben Roberts to show us the car speed that he's got here tonight. If he can recover and get all the way back up to Kalen Chin, that says he's probably the quicker driver. That dive from Kalen Chin, if he didn't get it back there, I reckon Roberts could have carried enough speed down the back straight that he might have been okay.
These guys are learning a lot every week too. They're going to learn from this and go, okay, boys, we need to have, if that's the quickest lap, we use that in qualifying. We've got a different race setup. The race setup runs less wing, gives us straight line speed. They've got to get clever with this.
Fastest car last lap, Daniel Harris. So as soon as he's been released,
Yep.
I think he's been a little bit concentrated, a little bit focused up by a bit of red mist. Sometimes when you get released from another driver, you just set fastest laps, and that's
Look at that. There's your
that's
slowdown. Just too wide, too much, took too much track.
He paid for all of it.
Yep.
He's using all of it.
Bit like a Mercedes driver, hey, on the road. They paid so much for the car, they decided they own the road with it.
Hey man, I'm just glad it's not a BMW series. We'd have to have a BMW lane around the track.
Oh dear.
And the background, our producer, by the way, said, a bit how I play golf. I paid for the whole course, I want to use it.
Yeah. The more strokes I get, the more value for money, hey?
The only problem is it costs more when you put the balls in the drinks, so...
Then somebody else has put them back.
I think my comedy career is still alive and well, Dave.
No, it's not. It's not good. Now, Roberts is certainly getting back to him, but not at a rapid rate of knots. It's just slowly. I can see there further back that Bailey Evans is going toe-to-toe with Scott Bartain. They're side by side. Here we go. Side by side. So no more safety car. We haven't had a safety car tonight at all. That just shows you the quality of the driving out there, to be honest.
There wasn't really space there, but Scott Bartain made space.
That was very close to a slowdown there on the way out as well, running that wide.
Yeah, and Bailey Evans, I think, was on the clutch on the way down in there a little bit, so he underfueled just slightly, trying to get a jump, and then, well, now it hasn't worked because now he's got to deal with Bartain. He's on the outside here, and you'll hear him lift, long lifts, and then sort of rotates it back, and now Bartain's got control, but he's right there and on the gearbox. I'll tell you what, he's not gaining in a straight line on Bartain. Although I think he's lifting. I think he is fuel saving here, so I think this is intentional.
He's clever. You can slide it down the inside into here if you're close enough. Yeah. Back at the front. I was going to say back at the front. Roberts is all over the back of Callan Chin, and it looks like Roberts has done the fastest lap there last lap, has he?
No, he already had it. 26.474 was from early in the session. Last time by. He did do it 26.279, but would have picked up an off track on the lap.
So it's all about straight line speed. I think what we may see is it'll be interesting heading to Portimao next week and seeing what the guys do with the cars. Will they? Because it's so many sweepy corners there, but it's got a big, long front straight. You need that straight line speed, and then you need downforce through the first just really fast right-hander at the bottom of the hill. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they trim the cars up next week.
And the other difficulty is trying to keep the tyre on the ground as well.
Yeah.
It's not easy at Portimao. You're floating. It'll only be a few centimetres, if that, floating tyres, but you will be floating tyres at some point in the lap. The elevation change is redonkulous. I have been waiting to broadcast a race from there. I got the opportunity to actually run an endurance race in the LMP2 around there earlier in the season, with thanks to now his name's gone from the top of my tip of my tongue. So. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Really, really good fun track.
Yeah, it's a superb circuit. I know when they released it, we did a session there that was rain going to dry, and myself and Danny Davison and a couple other guys, and we were just trading fastest laps. Whoever went across the finish line last got the fastest lap, and every lap it was fastest lap goes to car number 12, car number 7 got fastest lap, car number 9, car number 11, car number 12, and it's just fabulous. We had so much fun. And talking about rain, we did have a chance of rain here tonight. It looked like it was going to possibly rain a bit mid-race, but it seems to have held off.
Yeah, 9% chance of rain at all. At the moment, Ben Roberts is hoping to rain on Kalen Chin's parade. Gets closer, gets really, really close. And now he's not taking any liberties. He's really pressing on. Rotates the car very nicely. Nearly gets along. He's going to force Kalen Chin to be a little bit narrow here at 15. And he's just trying to look for that overlap. So he's really good in that last sector. More wing on, and Bailey Evans has realized now I've saved enough fuel, so he's cut his way back through. As for Harris, Harris now closes within 1.5 seconds of the car up ahead. There'll be two more, there'll be one more lap. This will be the final lap actually for our race leaders. That's why they're squabbling so much. So Roberts needed to chalk him up. He needed to just balk him a little bit. He sucks the momentum out of the Kalen Chin car, chilling deep onto the inside, does manage to rotate the car, but Ben Roberts has got some speed here off of turn number 5, now through the left-hander at 6. This is for a race win. There is going to be about 2.5 kilometers left to run, and he wants a race win here tonight. Chin looking to deny him. The white flag has been confirmed at the start-finish line. There will be no do-overs. This is your last time through these corners. You've got to set it up, and it's set it up here, Dave.
Down into this last one is where he's likely, because he'll go wide, try and get that super run out of here, and he hasn't done it. He's got mid-corner understeer on the wide line. Didn't get the exit that he needed, and I think this is all Kalen's now.
Yeah, now Kalen's got enough of a margin. He'll close. He will close to within 0.2 of a second, but there's just enough time to cover him off. He's going to have to go deep, Ben Roberts, if he wants to crack at this one, and the dirty air will cover him, and Kalen Chin covers him as well. And I think he just might have needed to do that, just to cover off any last-gasp desperate chances for Kalen Chin has driven supremely. I don't think he's been the quickest driver. I don't think he might be out of fuel. Chin might be out of fuel. Chin had a wobble. He had a wobble at second last corner. He's got no drive. Chin's out of fuel. Ben Roberts wins a fuel race. No way that just happened.
Wow. In the last 30 feet?
No way. No way, Jose. That didn't just happen. And I tell you what, Beswick might be out of fuel as well. He's got real tight. You and Baker closed up on him. He might have saved enough to get to the line. Kobe Williams is out as well. They were all running on the limit.
Wow. Did you call me Jose in the middle of that?
No way, Jose, that just happened. No way.
Oh, we do love Scott when he gets excited about a finish. That was a pretty exciting finish. Jose.
Look, I expected them to go toe-to-toe, but I did not expect him to run out of fuel.
So did Kalen Chin get over the line for second?
He did get second. He did get second. Oh.
Yes. Yes, he did get second.
He only lost the lead.
Listen.
For a second.
That was absolutely unbelievable. Boy, oh boy. Zoltwanger was not very far away from snatching second.
I'm incredulous.
That was pretty cool. I think we need to send that finish into iRacing. That'll make a highlights reel.
So that's Ben Roberts and Lee Zoltwanger celebrating because they had fuel left over. Kalen Chin did not.
Yeah.
Oh.
So Williams and Beswick have had a great race here, haven't they? 4th and 5th.
Yeah, they have really, really quiet night at the office. We barely talked about them. They did a lot of overtake. Well, I don't think they did a huge amount of overtaking. They just looked after their tyres in the first couple of laps and brought them in.
Ran a smart race, like you and Baker did. They just sat there and they lapped. And look, only 2/10 of a second between Baker and Beswick at the end. That's where you said Eddie ran out of fuel. Was Eddie in front of Kobe Williams?
Great question. No idea.
I don't know on the last lap who was leading on the last lap and whether Kobe Williams jumped Eddie or not. I thought he was behind Kobe, but I may be wrong.
He was behind Kobe coming to the hairpin on the last lap, so I would say he probably was.
And Caleb Hyde's there, great drive into 8th place. That beautiful piece of defensive driving there, and he's finished right behind Harris. 7 seconds back, but he's right behind Harris. So that gives them 2nd and 8th. I don't know what the team points would be for tonight there.
It'll be close because Daniel Harris was, the way to think about it is Kalen Chin finished one spot in front of Zeltwinger. Daniel Harris flipped that and finished one spot in front of Caleb Heights. So they might be, in terms
What
of...
am I looking at?
Done. This is, so the results, the second page of results is what we're looking at the moment.
I'm going, how's Drew Collins in second, but he's not, he's 11th.
No, he's 11. Drew Collins, I'm in 11th, not
It's
second.
late for me.
He'd be celebrating if it was a second. Caleb Dawson from
dear.
Jack Mara. Mara ran a good race up until one little moment, unfortunately for him. Bailey Evans from Matty Keane from John Monday. Caleb Bellack finishes the first car one lap down from Sinese from Taylor.
Bailey's really had some, just seems to be a magnet for incidents this season, hasn't he? Tyson Broad, Sam Chapman there at the back of the field who retired.
I didn't expect we'd get... Look, I know it's tight on fuel. I know it's difficult. I know it's tough. I didn't think we'd see that happen, though. Anyway, I'm reasonably certain the guy with Peppa Pig as his logo might actually be our third place winner, Lee Zellweger. So we might try and get him in and talk to him about that, because then we can badger him and give him some help, which is good.
He had a very quiet evening.
He did. Finished third, really close to a second, but was a supremely quiet evening. He was back about 4 seconds, I think, off the win, but yeah, anyway, here's what it is. Here we go. Finally managed to grab it. All right, Lee Zeltwinger, how are you doing in terms of that one? Because at the last lap, I don't think you quite thought that you might be in with a shout for a second spot, given how tight those guys were on fuel.
Yeah, I was that was really good to watch. I was just sitting back, especially that last lap, and yeah, I thought maybe if I had another lap, I could have gone them just because of their fighting. But you know, it was really good to watch, and I was just too far back. To have a go if they backed up into me, but yeah, I enjoyed it. Nice calm race, kind of, from like lap five onwards. But yeah, it was really cool.
In terms of things, that's probably the best you've looked this season. It's sort of been a gradual climb. Like Daniel's led the way, but you're sort of pegging that gap back to him. And finally tonight, you managed to finally out-qualify the teammate. So the confidence in the car is growing as the season's progressed. How are you feeling within that, and the progression of the setups, the progression of your skill set with the car as well?
Yeah, it's been an upwards climb slowly. Since it's a new car, I haven't really had any chance to drive it before the actual league started. So yeah, each weekend I'm getting faster and faster, so it's really good. You know, the setups, me and Dan work together, and they're getting really good. You know, they lack a little bit, but you know, that's something we can work on. And yeah, I've been up the top toward like kind of the whole time, but yeah, I was just making mistakes, and you know, I never really raced in a league, so I was a bit nervous. But now I'm getting more confident every time, and the pace is definitely there. It's just I got to put it all together to really beat Kalen and Ben and Daniel when he's up front. So I'm getting there. Setups are good, and yeah.
There's that core group of guys now at the front, and I think you're part of that. On any one of those drivers' days, you say there's probably about 6 guys who can really finish on the podium consistently, and then a shock can happen every now and again. There's another 5 guys that can fill that next spot on the podium as well, which the league is just so tight. And from tonight, if you have a look at qualifying, there's nothing separating so many drivers in the field. It's just all getting better and better and better. Everyone's getting closer in terms of that thing. How are you guys managing the pressure?
Yeah, it's awesome that everyone's so close. You know, it makes for real good racing, and which we're getting week in and week out, really. So yeah, I think 2 weeks in a row now has been a great finish. And now the pressure's definitely on. You know, you want to do well, and like I saw Ben Roberts was on the back of Kalen that whole race, so surprised he didn't make a mistake. But when you're under that much pressure in the race, it's really easy to make a mistake. But yeah, you know, the pressure slowly getting better, but yeah, pressure's slowly wearing off now that we're closer to up front with the points wise. But yeah, pressure's always there with all these fast guys on the grid.
Dave, anything you'd like to ask Lee?
No, I just really enjoyed your drive tonight. It was very cool, calm, collected, sat there. I think you learned a little bit and just stayed out of trouble and sat yourself on the podium, and it's a great night in anybody's terms.
Yeah, definitely. I made a mistake at the start, which put me back to third. I just didn't quite hit my braking point. But then, yeah, Ben and Kalen were just that touch quicker, and I fell out of the draft. And then I was trying to save my tires for a bit, you know, maybe if I could have a go at them towards the end of the race after the pit stop. But yeah, no, just not quite fast enough. And the oversteery setup didn't help. You know, I was just going a bit slightly cautious into those fast sweeping corners. And yeah, just tried to keep it on track. And yeah, no, still a great race and a great finish.
Cool. Well done. Anybody you'd like to thank for tonight?
I'd like to thank Daniel for all the help he's put in towards the setup. And yeah, it's awesome what he's doing, and I really appreciate it. And all the guys are fiercely forward. Cheers.
Mate, congratulations on tonight's result as well. I'm sure you really enjoyed that drive, and I get the feeling we might be chatting to you next week as well.
Yeah, I'm definitely having a look at that race when I go to bed. So yeah, that'll be awesome. And thanks for the great commentary, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Lee. Pleasure to chat. All right, we're going to be moving one step further up the podium, and it's going to be to a driver who finished with not a drop left in the tank. He left it all out on the racetrack, and unfortunately, he was about 150 meters short. Kalen Chin led the bulk of tonight's race. The pace was good yet again, and I'm guessing he just got too wrapped up in that battle.
Yeah, I was thinking that I knew, because I know Ben, he would rather save field than battle with me, and I knew he would have the heap of advantage in the pit, and so my thought process was, okay, if I save a bit of fuel now, drop the tank like a liter, maybe I'll be okay. My fuel calculator said it was fine, but then towards the end it was like, oh, you need to save fuel, so then I was in like full panic mode, and I had to save like 0.7 or something like that, I don't remember. And yeah, it wasn't enough, but it is what it is. I would rather wish I didn't drop the leader, because in hindsight, this car, it refuels pretty quickly, but oh well.
It's a tough, tricky thing, isn't it? Because you've got to get out and you've got to get ahead, particularly on these tracks with a lot of dirty air in that middle sector. Leading is just, it's where you want to be, you know, sometimes. And yeah, Ben's going to use you and he's going to try and fuel save, and he's really going to pressure you. But that's racing at this level. You've got to have yourself covered on so many fronts. It really tests you both as a driver and a fuel strategist and a crew chief, sort of all of your own. It's ticking so many boxes, and it takes it to another level.
Yeah, I was trying to be my own crew chief and driver in the first half, and that's where the mistake came. I knew I was definitely quicker on the straight. You know, it was kind of visible. And I knew that he would definitely jump me. So I was just hoping that if I had a good pit stop and come out within a second, I would have a good shot at winning, because he had no chance down the straights. But yeah, the feel. But couldn't really do anything after we came out, so it is what it is.
It's one of those things where you've got to throw it all in there. You've got to go, right, we're having a crack. It's a risky option. I've taken the risk. You fell 100 meters short, man. Like, what more can you do? You tried everything.
Yeah, there was nothing else I could do. I tried, like, the last couple of laps. I don't know if it was visible. I was trying to fuel clutch save on the inside to take the inside away from him, so he wouldn't like overtake me, and then I would still get a good exit as well. But I think it was like 0.1, maybe 0.2 of a liter, just short. So it's frustrating. Blue, I don't know how many.
Yeah, you certainly had. I think you certainly had the better race setup. That little bit of extra straight line speed that you had. We noticed it when Caleb had a fantastic fight with Daniel Harris, and it's the same thing, just that little bit of extra straight line speed, and just gave him the 6 inches he needed to be able to pull across and shut down that inside line down the back straight. And the straight line speed made you. It may not have made your car the fastest car over a lap, but it certainly made it a better race car, because you could defend yourself in a straight line.
Yeah,
really good.
After last week, when I noticed Daniel was incredibly fast on the straight. I took that approach, and especially since Misano, like the back straight, that's really where the overtaking is. I was thinking that, yeah, if I have a good straight line car, and even if it's not the quickest, I would still be in the lead or like have a chance overtaking. So that's the approach we went, and it paid off until my incompetence. But yeah, speaking of Caleb, he drove a fantastic race today. Really proud of him.
Wait till you watch it back. He did some superb driving in defence. Really, really, really nice driving. But interesting going to Portimao next week because it's got a big, long front straight, high speed that you need that straight line speed on. But it's the curviest, more corners than any other track you'll go to with ups and downs that you need downforce. So you've got a big challenge next week to set the car up.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting which setup direction you'll go if you want the straight line speed for the straight, or if you want the quartering speed in the middle and last sector. It'll be very interesting come practice and seeing where everyone will be, and I just hope that we have a good car like we did today, and make the most out of it.
All right, Callan, anybody you'd like to thank besides your parents?
Of course, would love to thank the Eclipse boys, Eddie Bestwick, Kobe Williams, Caleb Hides, Damon Woods, Dylan Burse, Cody D, all of them, for the support and spotting my friends who are watching right now as well. And even though you said not to, I'm still gonna mention them.
I'm only kidding.
My mom and dad, supporters.
Is Dad standing there behind the rig again?
No, he's watching it on his own.
Okay.
Yeah, he's roughing you up over in YouTube chat as well. Not his first fuel issue, won't be his last.
Yeah, I've kind of had a habit in many races of underfeeling and then having my whole race ruined in the last lap. I still haven't learned, apparently. But I also... I have no idea how, but my pit entry was the most on the edge entry I've ever had. I don't know how I didn't get a black flag, but I'll take it.
Cool. Oh well.
Yeah.
Well done tonight.
Thank the boys, FRG, for hosting. You two for having the amazing commentary, and yeah, it was an amazing race today. Probably the one I most thoroughly enjoyed.
Cool. We enjoyed it too.
Yeah, we thoroughly enjoyed that one, Kalen. So thanks for blessing us with a strong race, mate. That was brilliant. And yeah, I'm sure we'll talk to you again next week.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you.
And finally, it's on to tonight's winner. I don't think he knew he had it. He didn't know he had it. He got a huge shock of his life as he came out of that last corner. Ben Roberts, sometimes it's good to be lucky.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, you just said I just thought he was like saving tyres a bit because I was pushing so hard to catch him, but I didn't realise he was running out of fuel till I almost ran into him last corner.
Mate,
unbelievable.
The stoush was one for the ages, and we're sitting here witnessing it, and you guys weren't the only stoush out on the track, so the fans got absolutely treated to a show tonight, man. Talk us through that race, because that was not easy. You opted, things went wrong early, you ran a little bit wide at the last corner, picked up that slowdown penalty, and you had to, sorry, it wasn't last corner, it was on the back straight on, I think it was lap 2, no, it was the first lap. So
yeah, it was the first lap I cut that inside too much.
Yep.
I was just a bit afraid of cold tyres spitting it out, so I tried to go sort of far inside as I could to sort of stabilise it, and it was just a bit much.
So you give it up, and then you're on the back foot, and then you've got to respond. You've really got to try and apply the pressure. You've got to get past Lee, and then try and stick with Kalen Chin as well. What's going through the brain as you go, as the slowdown penalty comes up, and then how do you adjust yourself from there?
From there, I'm pretty sure I could stick with Lee and Callan, especially because they were fighting for a bit. Lee made the mistake, which is pretty easy. We were running heaps of wing in practice, like way too much. I took quite a bit of wing out of my setup right before qualifying, so that's probably what allowed me to stick with Cowan and just save fuel behind him. And then it's that second race in a row, almost screwed myself over with slowdowns, but yeah, it was just really good fun racing with Cowan. I know he's going to race me hard, he's going to defend really well, but it's always going to be fair with him. So, I trust him not to take me out, and it always leads to good racing.
But you're glad you took that bit of wing off, because even taking all that wing off, he obviously had a car that was a little bit quicker in a straight line.
Yeah, difference was nowhere near as it was in practice. It was like 8-9 kilometers an hour at the start of practice. I noticed it and I started trying to change stuff straight away. I think difference if I wasn't in draft was about 4 or 5Ks still, but that's sort of enough with these cars to where if I'm in draft I can stick with him and catch him a little bit. And yeah, like I said before, that's probably what saved me in the end, to be honest.
Yeah, no, great drive tonight, and it was just you just had to sit there and there wasn't much point in getting in front of him because you weren't going to run away with it. There was so close the pace the two of you had. And it was really smart to sit there, not really threaten him, but just sit there and take advantage and keep him looking in the mirrors and keep him honest and just drive that just off that edge, try and save a bit of fuel. Really, really well thought out and driven race, Ben. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thanks a lot, boys. Yeah, it was a lot of hard work again, but worth it in the end.
So Portimao next week, how do you feel about that?
Little bit more confident than Misano. I'd done almost no laps at Misano before practicing this week, and the laps I did were all in the dry. At least with Portimao, sort of I've done a couple of like GT3 official races in the dry, so I have a bit better idea of where I'm going and how to set my car up this time.
It's a great circuit, Portimao. I'm looking forward to next week so much, and to see all you guys attack it and see how you go about setting up the car. So you've got to be thinking straight line speed a little bit next week. That's a big long straight there. Yeah,
that's sort of. I've already talked with Bailey about that. We're gonna have to bring the front end back up again, I think, because this week and the last week we've had it down pretty low. So we're gonna have to bring it back up and try and dial some more straight line speed into it. We'll be nowhere next week.
Interesting. So we look forward to that. And before we get there, Ben, who do you want to thank tonight for all the people that help you get here?
Of course, start with you guys in the booth and Race Control for allowing this to happen. Of course, my team, simrings.com, DPR, Southwell Lifts and Hoist, Benmax Mechanical, MP Designs, and everyone for watching tonight, and everyone who came out and raced tonight. None of this could happen without all of you.
Finally, Ben, thank you very much for your time, mate. That was a cracker, and we're going to see you next week from Portimao to cap everything off in terms of things. So it's been a pleasure chatting to you thus far this season. I'm sure we'll see you again.
Thanks a lot, boys. See you later.
Cheers. Thank you.
Righto, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we are capping off the season of Formula 3 Australia for 2024 next week at Portimao.
Not. You're wrong.
We've got 2 rounds
to go.
So
you got next week at Portimao, then we have another gap, unfortunately, and we come back to oh God, what's it called? Spanish track, MotoGP track.
Oh, Catalunya? Ref.
Alright. That's it. I couldn't think of it.
You know we're in trouble when neither of us can forget it. It's been a long week for me, man. I get it.
Yeah.
I get exactly where you're at. If you want to catch us all and everything that's going on, the rises, the falls of the championship, there's a track that characterizes all of that. It's Portimao. It's next week. We're going to rise. We're going to fall. The cars are going to be up, going down side to side like a roller coaster. If you want to be on that ride, back here, 8:25 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time next week. See you all then as we try and start to head towards the finale of this championship. Who's going to win that team's championship to start the season off?
See you next week.